for him. Also, we have with us the University Librarian, Dr. Felicia Yusuf. Thank you for coming, ma'am. And also not forgetting the bursar of the university, Mr. Chino Adepoju, in absentia. We appreciate him. And also, we have with us the chairman of the ceremonials committee, Professor Ayakura. Thanks for coming, ma'am. Also, we appreciate all these that are present. The Dean of College of Engineering, Professor Olusoya, thanks for coming. Also, the Dean of CONAS, Professor Atasi, thanks for coming, ma'am. And also the Dean of COFAS, Professor Omoike, thanks for coming. And also Professor Shomuiwa, the Dean, College of Management Sciences, thanks for coming. So we appreciate all professors here present, all other faculties, HODs, coordinators, staff, and students. Bells Tech. Without much ado, I have the honor to call on the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Arisa, representing our Vice Chancellor, Professor Jeremiah Oludede Ojediro, to give the welcome address by the Vice Chancellor. Can we put our hands together as she comes, please?
I'll stand on the existing protocol that has already been established, and I'm talking for the Vice Chancellor. I have the special pleasure and privilege today to welcome you all to the Technology Fair, an important component of our combined 20th anniversary and 17th convocation ceremonies. On behalf of the promoter, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, GCFR, PhD, the President and Chairman and membership of the Board of Trustees of our university, the Chancellor, the Pro-Chancellor, and Chairman and membership of Governing Council, Senate, management staff, and students of Bells University of Technology, OTA. I welcome our eminent personalities who are here to celebrate this event with us. Please accept my hearty congratulations for the huge success that today's event portrays. Today's event, our yearly technology fair and exhibition, are notably one of the high points of our convocation ceremonies, and this is intentional for us as a University of Technology. We are proud of how far this event has come over the years, as well as the tremendous support it has enjoyed from the university community and other relative external interests. We appreciate also the wide traction we enjoy from fellow institutions and the industry. Technology fairs generally are important as they help participants to develop essential skills like communication and presentation, provide practical experience with technology, and enhance problem-solving and critical thinking skills, as well as provide opportunities for networking, career advancement, and foster innovation and creativity through hands-on project-based learning on the part of attendees. They also help to open our eyes to the solutions available to identified and yet to be identified problems and solutions. So, this year's technology fair is unique as it comes up during our 20th anniversary of existing as the very first University of Technology in Nigeria, private University of Technology in Nigeria, and we are glad to utilize this platform to blaze several trails. We are glad to run through to the ideals of our mission statement, which is to discover, disseminate, and apply the knowledge of science and engineering for human well-being and societal development. Also, the theme of the technology fair, Green Technology and Climate Change in the 21st Century Food Security, the way forward, is very apt, giving the global attention to the need for reorientation on the way we handle the dual issues of climate change and food security. Green technology is crucial in the 21st century food security. For example, by providing solutions like drought-resistant crops, improved water management, and renewed energy to enhance food security. These mitigate the adverse effects of climate change, such as extreme weather and rising temperatures, which threaten agricultural productivity. Their successful implementation, however, requires strategic policy, intentional international collaboration, and integrated approaches that combine modern science with traditional knowledge. Green technology also drives economic and sustainable development through innovations that improve efficiency, promote recycling, and help mitigate climate change by reducing carbon emission, converting energy, and reducing pollution. These issues and more, we believe, will be addressed during this gathering, especially through our guest speaker, Professor Ohun Aki, as we glean on his wealth of experience. I heartily appreciate and welcome our guest speaker, Professor Ohun Aki, for identifying with us this time, and we hope to build on this further. In conclusion, I wish to heartily appreciate all of our partners and guests for identifying with us on this occasion. I wish to also congratulate the Chairman, Ceremonials Committee, and the Chairman, Technology Fair Subcommittee, and their teams for the success of this event. Once again, I welcome you all to Bells Tech, where only the best is good for bells. This is from Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojedinran, RE, Koren, FNSE, FNIAAE, the Vice Chancellor of Bells University of Technology today. Thank you very much.
Can we put our hands together for the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Arisa? Thank you, ma, for the well-delivered welcome address by the Vice Chancellor. While I was introducing, I skipped the introduction of the Dean of the College of Postgraduate Studies, Professor Kuforiji. You are welcome, ma. Please, ma, we want you in front. Okay, ma, because we'll be calling you, ma, for the goodwill message. Also, not forgetting the chairman of the subcommittee on technology fair, that's Dr. Alamu, for a well put together event. So, we will just have a little interlude before we continue. Thank you for that interlude. Also, before going further, I'd like to welcome specially into our midst. I would like to welcome into Bells University of Technology our guest speaker of today, Professor Olayinka Onwuakin. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you for coming, sir. So as we go on, I'll call on the Chairman Ceremonials Committee, Professor Caroline Ayakura, to give the opening remarks. Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you.
Bells Tech. Bells Tech. Good morning, everyone. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Jeremiah Oludele Ojadero, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ngozi Arisa. Permit me to stand on established protocol. Good morning once again. I am delighted to welcome everyone here, especially the Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and all the principal officers, especially the university librarian, the deans, the directors, professors, and heads of departments and units, staff and students, as well as participants, to the combined 20th anniversary and 17th Convocation Science and Technology Fair and Exhibition of our great institution, Bells University of Technology, Ota, being held today, October 29, 2025. I warmly welcome our guest speaker, Professor Olayinka Onwuakin, the immediate past head of Department of Mechanical Engineering, Covenant University. A hand of applause for him. I thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation to deliver this lecture. Your presence is greatly appreciated. I also welcome eminent academics, distinguished guests, alumni, and members of the press to this exhibition. The Science and Technology Fair and Exhibition has been an annual tradition as part of the convocation activities. Today's fair, which incorporates a symposium, is titled Green Technology and Climate Change in the 21st Century, The Way Forward, and will be delivered by Professor Olayinka Onwuakin, an internationally recognized professor of energy systems and thermofluids. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Green technology is crucial for addressing climate change in the 21st century by providing solutions such as renewable energy and energy efficiency systems that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate environmental risks. These technologies aim to reduce fossil fuel consumption and redirect society to sustainable alternatives that limit global warming. Green technology drives economic growth, creates jobs, and improves human well-being. I believe the lecture will be very rewarding and enlightening. The fair has been a rallying point for students and staff to showcase their research and mark the celebration of creativity, innovation, and hard work. Exhibitions like this provide a platform for ideas to come alive, where imagination meets reality and inspiration. Each exhibit represents countless hours of effort, skill, and dedication. As you move around and engage with the exhibits, I encourage you to ask questions and exchange ideas and be inspired. Let this exhibition not only showcase what we have achieved, but also ignite new visions for what lies ahead. The Vice Chancellor with members of the University Management will open the exhibition and visit the college's stand. Therefore, I urge everyone to stay by their exhibits as they tour the stands. Judges are appointed to declare winners, and prizes will be presented to the winners. I therefore thank the Vice Chancellor and the University Management for their support and for providing the resources and enabling environments. I also appreciate the chairman and members of the Technology Fair for their dedication and efforts, which made the exhibition possible. To our esteemed audience, the staff, the students, I appreciate your presence. Your participation makes this event truly special. Once again, I welcome all of us to this exhibition. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for her? The Chairman Ceremonials Committee. Next on the agenda is the goodwill messages from deans of colleges and the dean of postgraduate school. So we are going to start by calling on Professor Olubukola Kuforiji, the dean of the College of Postgraduate School, to give the goodwill message, and thereafter we follow with the dean of College of Natural and Applied Sciences, Professor Atase, and also we have the Dean of College of Management Sciences, Professor Shomuiwa, then the Dean of College of Food, Agricultural Science and Technology, Professor Moike, and also the Dean of Engineering, Professor Olusoya, and also the Dean of College of Environmental Sciences, Dr. Oreko, in that order. Can we put our hands together for Professor Olubukola Kuforiji as she gives the goodwill message at this special occasion of the Technology Fair at the 17th convocation ceremony of Bells University of Technology, Ota. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Ngozi Arisa, members of the management, and while adopting the already established protocol, I welcome us all to this 17th annual Technology Trade Fair of Bells University of Technology. I appreciate the great speaker, Professor Nwaki. You've been adding value to us, and may the Lord continue to add value to your life. To everyone that has contributed to the success ceremony, I say thank you and wish you all a beautiful outing. Thank you and God bless.
Let's sustain the applause as we invite Professor Atase to give a goodwill message on behalf of the College of Natural and Applied Sciences. Let's sustain the applause, please.
Best only the best is good for us, and only the best is sitting here right now. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Jeremiah Oludolo Ojedino, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, I also want to adopt the already established protocol. I welcome each and every one of us to this beautiful event. It's an August occasion taking place in October, the 17th convocation of Bells University, the 20th anniversary of Bells University of Technology. A child of 20 years is an adult. At the age of 18, you can vote and you can be voted for. Bells Tech, we are grown. Put your hands together for yourself. Professor Nwaki, we thank you for always adding value to the system. You are value added. And I know the value you add to our system today will remain with us. It will enlarge us, and it will encourage us, and it will make us to be stronger. Today's technology fair, I especially want to thank the Chairman Ceremonial Committee. You have really come a long way. The preparation, a journey of 10,000 kilometers starts the footstep. She's been on this all this while, and today you are making a mark. I want to also appreciate Dr. Duran for chairing this technology fair section. You have been up and doing. And the title for today is Germane, Green Technology and Climate Change in this 21st century, food security, way forward. I don't know if social media is adding to our problems or solving our problems. You will see so many things on social media, eat this, don't eat this, don't eat that. I don't know if they're confusing us or they are helping us. But I know today you will do justice to that. I believe one thing, we have gone all this way, we have come very far. We shall not go down. We'll continue to move forward. You are all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. While Sister sustaining the applause, I will call on the Dean of the College of Food, Agricultural Science and Technology, Professor, I will call on Professor Shumiwa, the Dean, College of Management Sciences, to give his goodwill message. Let's sustain the applause. What happened is we have to follow the order. We appreciate you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, the moderator. The Vice Chancellor are ably represented by the quietly proficient, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and the University Librarian, the guest lecturer, the distinguished chairman of the occasion. Let me formally welcome everybody to the annual technology fair, as well as exhibition, and for us to see the creativity and innovation from our students, staff, colleges, and industrial partners to this momentous event. I'm sure, and I have a very strong conviction, that the project that is going to be displayed is a cutting-edge project that will definitely not only transform our lives, but as well as shape our futures. And at this junction, I want to particularly extend my appreciation to everyone, that is on behalf of the COMAS that is involved in organizing this particular outreach, to the students as well as the exhibitors for sharing their work with us. And I'm confident that the interactions, as well as the networking opportunities here today, will lead to new collaborations, innovative ideas, as well as existing opportunities. I wish all participants the best and look forward to seeing the impact of the work in the year to come. Thank you once again. May God bless.
Welcome Professor Omoike, please, the Dean of the College of Food, Agricultural Science and Technology, to the podium to give his goodwill message. You are welcome, sir.
Good day, everybody. You're welcome today to this technology fair. The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Arisa, the University Librarian, I greet. The ceremonial chairman, University ceremonial chairman, Professor Anyakura, and the guest lecturer for today, Professor Olayinka Ohuaki. You are welcome. On behalf of College of Food, Agricultural Science and Technology, COFAST, we joyfully felicitate with the management, staff and students of Bells University of Technology, Ota, on the grand celebration of our 20th anniversary and 17th convocation ceremony under the purposeful leadership of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Jeremiah O. Ojediran. The university has remained a beacon of excellence, innovation, and moral integrity. This milestone reflects 2 decades of impactful contribution to knowledge, character building, and national development. We celebrate your remarkable journey and wish Bells University continued success, progress, and global recognition in the year ahead. Congratulations and God bless. Thank you.
While still sustaining the applause, let's welcome the Dean of College of Engineering, Professor Olusoya, to the podium to give our goodwill message at this occasion. You are welcome.
The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by our dear DVC, Professor Arisa, the University Librarian, the guest speaker of today, and the ceremonial chairperson, thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of College of Engineering, I felicitate with the management of this great citadel of learning and the entire Bells staff, Bells Tech staff, on this occasion of 20th anniversary and the Science and Technological Fair. May this event inspire collaboration, it will spark creativity and foster innovation solutions that will shape our dear country. I wish all of us success of this fair. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Please, we welcome the Dean of the College of Environmental Sciences, Dr. Atinike Orekon, to give a goodwill message at this occasion. Let's put our hands together as she comes. Let's sustain the applause.
The Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, and all other principal officers here present, I bring greetings from staff and students of the College of Environmental Sciences. As we all know, in this 21st century, one of the basic challenges we are facing is the climate change. It's a big threat to humanity, to our environment, and to food supply. So there is no other best time to bring up this topic than today. And I'm sure that is why government is trying to see how green technology can solve some of these problems. With our guest speaker with us, I'm sure he's going to tell us solutions, recommendations that we can take home in solving the problems of climate change. Let me congratulate the Vice Chancellor again and the management staff and the organizing committee for bringing up this topic. It is very crucial at this critical time. Congratulations to BELSTEC, congratulations to everybody, congratulations to staff and students. Next year's zone, by God's grace, will be bigger and merrier. Thank you, sir.
Let's put our hands together to appreciate the Dean of the College of Environmental Sciences for that goodwill message. Thank you, ma'am. Next is the citation of the keynote speaker, Professor Olayinka Onwuakin. Please, sir, we want you to step forward while in front, sir, please, while the citation will be read. Professor Olayinka S. Onwuakin is an internationally recognized professor of energy systems and thermofluids. He is a professor at the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Covenant University, Nigeria. He is a Beers Fellow, College of Natural Resources, University of California, Berkeley, visiting professor, Center for African Studies, University of California, Berkeley, visiting professor, Center for Petroleum Energy Economics and Law, University of Ibadan, Nigeria, visiting professor, Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, University of Johannesburg, South Africa. I think he deserves a round of applause for this. He is also the co-founder and director of the Energy and Environment Research Group, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Covenant University, Nigeria. Professor Onwuakin is an energy and environmental expert with vast knowledge in renewable energy technologies, distributed generation, and hybrid grid systems, design and evaluation of low carbon systems, energy modeling, climate modeling, energy audits, cost-benefit analysis of renewable energy investments, energy efficient buildings, simulations and designs, energy economies, policies, finance and management, with in-depth researches in energy conversion and management, energy efficiency and conservation techniques, conventional energy sources and power plants. Professor Onwuakin is a registered member of several professional bodies. He has written several articles widely published on energy in leading peer-reviewed high-impact journals cutting across Springer, Elsevier, Sage, Taylor, and Francis publishers, and so on. Yes, I think he deserves a round of applause. He served in the capacity as a conference chair, International Conference on Engineering for a Sustainable World in 2021 and 2022 edition, and a reviewer through editorial membership to numerous energy journals. He has also presented several position papers in conferences and workshops, both locally and internationally. Professor Onwuakin is the immediate past head, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Covenant University, Nigeria. He served as acting dean, College of Engineering, at some periods between 2023 and 2024, and also as chairman, International Office and Linkage, Covenant University from 2019 to 2023. Chairman, Budget Committee, College of Engineering, Covenant University from 2017 to 2019. Chairman, Quality and Academic Standard Committee, Covenant University from 2018 to 2019. He has also served as Chairman, Accreditation Committee, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Covenant University towards the accreditation exercises of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, CORE, and the National University Commission, NUC, in April and November 2022, respectively. On these assignments, he prepared and presented the Department of Mechanical Engineering for accreditation exercises before the two regulatory bodies, that is the COREN and NUC. He won full COREN and NUC accreditation for the Department of Mechanical Engineering for another 5-year period commencing from 2023. I think he deserves another round of applause. Recently, Professor Onwuakin won a grant with other project partners across 4 international institutions for avoidance, not to make mistakes. I can't go into these German names. We have 2 universities in Germany and also Obafemi Awolowo University in Nigeria, and also another university in Niger. So for this project, he won with the title Optimization of Off-Grid Energy Supply Systems in Nigeria. Project funding with reference number 03SFO606. So this is an international grant that cut across 3 nations: Germany, Nigeria, and Niger. I think he deserves a round of applause for this. The project is being funded by the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and the worth of the grant is €1,614,290. And the project is to run from 1st of July 2022 to 30th June 2026. Professor Onwuakin has been involved in several national assignments, amongst which are interim aids to share environmental sound management, ECOWAS workshop on appliance standards and regulation, institutional capacity and efficient lighting strategy, organized by the ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, UNEP and SEED, October 2013, in Cotonou, Benin. Also is a member of Inter-Ministerial Committee on Climate Change, preparatory meeting of the ICC towards the 19th session of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Conference of Parties on Climate Change in 2013 in Abuja, Nigeria. He has been a national delegate and part of the negotiator team for Nigeria, Africa, and the G77 Plus and China at the 19th session of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Conference of Parties. This was held in Warsaw, Poland between 11 to 22nd November 2013. He has also been a national delegate and part of the negotiator team, Technology Transfer, Capacity Building and Finance for Nigeria, Africa, G77 Plus, and China at the 20th session of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change Conference Parties, held in Lima, Peru, between 1st to 12th December 2014. I think these are not mean feats. He deserves another round of applause. He is also a member of Workshop for the Development of Nigeria Biennial Update Report to the UNFCCC, October 2015 in Abuja, Nigeria. He is also a member Inter-Ministerial Committee on Climate Change in Abuja, Nigeria, and technical expert on various appliances standards for the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Professor Onwuakin has been elected as the chairman, National Mirror Technical Committee on Built Environment for the Standard Organization of Nigeria, and also as Vice Chairman, National Mirror Technical Committee on Energy Generating Equipment for the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Professor Owakin has been serving as a consultant on several projects for the World Bank, the IFC, the AFDB, the KFW, AFD, GIZ, the Pan International Cooperation Agency, UNDP GEF project on energy efficiency in Nigeria. He is also a consultant to several NGOs and private bodies, both foreign and local. Professor Owakin is currently a nominated national expert for Nigeria at the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor to present to us the guest speaker at this year's Technology Fair, Professor Olayinka Owakin. You are welcome, sir. So, without much ado, we welcome you, sir, for your presentation. Let's put our hands together as he comes for his presentation. Whichever way is convenient for you, sir. Let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you very much and good morning. I want to say Bells Tech. Bells Tech. Bells Tech. I think I'm permitted to say that because I can't say I'm a member, but I'm part of the body. You know, I've been here. So many of my friends are here. My childhood friend is here, Bimbola Oreko. We've come a very, very long way, several decades, right? I want to sincerely appreciate everybody, the organizing committee. I want to start with the Vice Chancellor, Professor Jediron, and here ably represented by the the indefatigable Deputy Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much. You know, I belong to this Bells family. Maybe some persons will see me for the first time today, but I don't think I'm a new person here. Dr. Funsho Simon is there. My sister, Dr. Felicia Yusuf, is here. You know, she disturbs me a lot. But we are meeting again today. Thank you very much. I want to sincerely congratulate Bells University on the occasion of the 20th anniversary and the 17th convocation ceremony. I came in this morning, I said, no, there's a huge transformation here, more than 360 degrees, if it's possible. You know, I know Bells before and I know Bells now. You know, Bells before and Bells now. It's just like, it's a total, it's a shift, from what it used to be. I want to appreciate the management and I want to sincerely appreciate the wisdom and God's grace that is guiding and then, propelling the vision forward. I want to say congratulations again. I'm here to speak to this topic. Green technology and climate change in the 21st century food security. Food security, way forward. There are key words there. Green technology. I will try as much as possible not to make it to be fully academic. I'll bring in a lot, but at the same time I will also bring some sciences in because this is an academic environment. And because there will be exhibitions today and so many stakeholders from outside of the university, I will also try to make it, something that is more into the community that we can speak to. So the key words, green technology. Climate change is also a key word there. Food security, which is key. It's because we are eating, that's why we can stand and talk and plan and think and move the system forward. So, climate change has been an issue over the years. We caused it. And we caused the problem. We must look for ways to manage the problem. And that is what we need to know. Enlightenment is part of the ways. Let people be aware that this thing has changed. You know, and then what are we to do? So I'm going to consider some topics. I mean, some, you know, key topics in this particular, you know, that is food security. What actually is food security? Climate change. What actually is climate change? A lot of misconceptions along the line. You know, we say a lot of things. If you ask the person, what is the meaning of this? You'll discover the person will be saying, I think. So you see misconceptions, a lot of assumptions coming in. You know, impact of climate change, what has it caused? Green technology and climate change, can we bring it together? Now in this lecture, this particular symposium, I'm going to link food security, climate change, and green technology together. That is as given to me by Dr. Adediran Lamu. Thank you very much, sir. You have actually done a very, very good work. Sorry, please. Shagun, please come. This thing is not coming up. All right. So food security. Please, I don't know. Is it shutting down? There are no battery here. Okay. Sorry. So food security. When we talk about food security, what do we mean? Please let me make reference to this, the World Food Summit of 1996 that exhaustively, you know, defined food security. Yeah. Food security exists when all people at all times have physical and economic access to sufficient, look at it please, sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary needs and food preferences for an active and healthy life. So from that, we should be able to talk to ourselves. In this part of the world, are we food secure? The answer, of course, it's no. Not everybody have access to sufficient food, to safe food, to nutritious food. A lot of persons, even if they are eating, they just eat anything. They don't even know, just to satisfy the tummy, and that's all. That is food insecurity. It's not when you don't have anything at all to eat. Even what you are eating, does it meet your food need, the dietary need? If the answer is 0, then it's not food security, it's food insecurity. So we talk about availability of food is there, with elements, you know, related to production, distribution, and exchange. How do we produce the food? What type of food? These days we are bringing a lot of innovations and technology. People are talking about genetically modified food now. People are now contemplating, is it safe, is it not safe? Are you getting me? Now if we eat today and we can't see tomorrow, or we can't see the next 10 years, I mean, is this something to look into? So accessibility to is part of it. It's having 4 dimensions to the food security. Accessibility, number 2. Economically and physically, with the elements related to affordability, allocation, and preference. Now, the third one is utilization. The way it is being used, you know, and assimilated by the human with elements related to nutritional value. I said earlier, people just eat to fill the tummy. Is that food security? No. And, you know, the food safety. Are we not eating poison? A lot that we eat. If they do a comprehensive examination of what we eat, I'm very sure people will say over the years that we've been eating poison unknowingly. We thank God for God's grace. But God has given us brain to also think and solve problems for ourselves. So the outcomes also contribute to environmental and other securities, e.g. income. Then the stability of the 4 that I've mentioned earlier. So we are looking at sustainable agriculture today, efficient infrastructure to meet the sustainable agriculture. Then we are going to talk about reducing food waste and stable food prices. In this part of the world, more than 25% of food is actually into lost harvest, or what do you call it, the agri people. You know, so a lot have been wasted because the preservation techniques is actually highly, highly local. It's not something that will meet the need of the day. So we'll talk about lost harvest, food at this particular time. Now, climate change. When talking of climate change, what actually do we mean? What do we mean? Referring to climate change. Scientifically, it is long-term changes in average weather conditions or shifts in the mean weather condition over a long period of time. I said over a long period of time. Maybe 30 years at a go, 40, 50, 100 years. Over. If we are talking of a day, we are not referring to climate change. We are looking at weather. But over years, what is it? How was it before? We refer to it as the Mesozoic era, at the pre-industrial era. How were we living then? How was it? Now, at the present situation, the present state that we have, and then we need to talk about the future. So in climate change, we should be able to look at the past. How was it in the past? How is it now? How will it be in the future? By the time we're able to look into those trends, we talk more about climate change. So all changes in the climate systems, talking of atmosphere, the hydrosphere, lithosphere, biosphere, the cryosphere, including the drivers of the change, the changes themselves and the effect, then holistically we are looking at climate change. By the time we're able to look into that. Now a lot of time, climate can be induced by natural forces, then by human forces. Human forces is more than natural forces because natural forces can be balanced the way God created the world. There are positive, plus, and then negative just to balance the net. We have the net effect. So it cancels out. You know, so we have the carbon sink, we have the sink and we have the source. So the balance is there. Then the net effect will be zero. But with the inclusion of the human-induced changes, the net effect is no longer zero. Then we are now having problem. We have altered the way nature was created. So, in summary, climate change is a long-term shift in global weather pattern, primarily driven by human activities. Now, there is something here, I said earlier, that I'm going to look at the science a bit, but not fully, make it a scientific report. Now, a lot of people these days, when talking about climate change, the mind goes to greenhouse gases. And the most dangerous or the stubborn of the greenhouse gases is CO2, carbon dioxide. We say carbon dioxide. Everybody, carbon dioxide. But there is a slight misconception there. It is not scientifically proven. It has not been proved scientifically that it is greenhouse gases that is responsible for the climate that is changing. That a lot of time, people don't go to that extent. It is not scientifically proven. But if we study trend over centuries, at the pre-industrial era, what actually are we doing? At the industrial era that was being fueled or catalyzed by coal exploitation that led to the World War. And now, what are we doing differently? Then we can say, let us take it that it is this emission that is responsible. In physics, sunspot decay takes, happens every 11 years. People, if we have physics students here, that alone is enough to cause the climate to change. But that is less. So if you look at all negotiations over the year, and I'm highly privileged to have actually been represented, negotiations started, the main one started in Copenhagen, 1999. No, 2009. Then all the big bodies. If I'm talking about big bodies, I mean the United States and the G20, group of 20 developed countries. They didn't go that direction. They did not believe in it, that it is greenhouse gases. So everybody left Copenhagen with disappointment. Now by 2020, 2010, 2011, 12, 13, and 14, we had one of our own, Obama, there as the president of the United States. Being a very powerful country, he was able to move around with other boys. Look, this thing is changing. If we don't manage it on time, we are going to pay dearly for it. So he was able to bring in all the other big boys, and they agreed that let's go this direction. And by 2015 in Paris, it was adopted. You understand that all countries came together that we now need to fight, and it was then believed that it is the greenhouse gases. But scientifically, it has not. So we had an agreement then, the Paris Agreement, in 2015, and all countries had to come together because no one country can solve the problem. No one country caused the problem. A lot of time, we are actually the vulnerable, the developing economies and the least developed economies. We are the receiving end of what the Western world caused. And they have all the technologies to adapt and to mitigate the effect of what they have caused. We don't have it. We don't have the technology. We don't have the capital, the resources to get it managed. So they are having to come together and pull funds together over years for us to collectively manage the effect of climate change. So the process involves increased greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide and methane. Methane is very, very powerful. It's much more injurious to the system than carbon dioxide because it has a very high global warming potential. But it gets cleaned out within few days, unlike CO2. CO2 can be in the system. System, I mean the world or anywhere, for several centuries, causing problems. So we have to come together to solve that problem. Burning major sources, again, burning fossil fuels. That's where we started the trend from. That this is it. The primary driver releasing greenhouse gases when coal, oil, and gas are burned for energy. Deforestation, cutting down forest. You know, one of the major sinks of greenhouse gas is the earth. The ground that we are walking. We have the earth, a major sink, the ocean, a major sink. You know, the lithosphere, a major sink, and so many other carbonaceous, compounds that also trap CO2. Anything we are doing directly on the soil, like grading, cutting down of trees, burning of, we are actually releasing carbon and other greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. That's what we are doing majorly. Now, agriculture. Also, activities like livestock digestion, the use of fertilizers, and the operation of farm equipment, all these contribute to emission. Extraction processes in the oil and gas, of fossil fuels, this releases massive greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. But upon all, if you look at where we are in this part of the world, all that we are doing is actually minute to what is happening in countries like China and the United States. But a lot of time, China will tell you, we are not emitting. It is the world that is emitting on our soil. They are putting their manufacturing, companies here and burning all the energy. So we are not to blame. Of course, it went to court and they won. That we are not to be blamed. Blame the world, bodies. Now, for students that are here, postgraduate and undergraduate, that is the climate component, climate systems component. That is how God designed the world. We are all here to interact. We know how dangerous virus could be and bacteria, but we all carry bacteria around. Inside our tummy, we need it. It's only when you are living your domain, then you have to be managed. You understand? So we must live together, and everything is balanced. So the net effect is zero. But due to our activities, quest majorly for energy, we have altered the design. So the climate system component, we have the atmosphere, which is fastest changing and most responsive components. We have the ocean, the other full, component, covering almost 70% of the surface. And this plays a central role through its motion and heat capacity. We have the cryosphere. It includes the snow, sea ice, mountain glaciers and the likes. And then we have land and its biomass. All these are components. And then the human interaction with the environment through agriculture, urbanization, industry, and pollution. Now, forcings. I said something earlier. It's not fully a scientific lecture, please, but I'm still having to bring some things in. In climate modeling or climate analysis, we talk about forcings. What are the causes? Forcings and responses. The input, which are forcings. Forcings can be natural. It can be human induced. In textbook, you see it as anthropogenic, human caused. So changes in plate tectonic, changes in Earth orbit. I said it earlier in physics. Every 11 years we expect the sunspot to decay, and that is enough to change the climate. Changes in storm strength over the centuries. All these are inputs. Then the machine is the environment where we are. We talk about the atmosphere, vegetation, ice, land, and ocean. This is actually the interaction, the internal interaction within the climate system. Then we have the, climate variations, the responses that we are referring to as climate change now, which is changes in the atmosphere. Changes in ice, we are now losing most of the glaciers that we are having. So that is now reflecting in sea level rise. We are losing the northern part of the country into the Sahara every year. A lot has changed. Where we used to refer to as Guinea Savannah, Sahel Savannah, now becoming Sahara Savannah. A lot of people, either you adapt to the system, or you relocate. You do one of the two. Changes in vegetation, changes in ocean, and then changes in land surfaces. All these are the forces. Now, again, this is more like to paint the forcings better. Forcings can, look at the source of the heat. That's a forcing. And then the responses has to do with the rise or what in temperature of the water. So that can be liking. This is what you are doing, and this is the resultant effect in terms of the changing climate. So the forces can be natural, the way God created it. I said earlier, and that is balanced. And can be anthropogenic forces, human induced. We are responsible for that. And we have actually altered nature completely. While growing up, we all knew that from this time to this time, the rain will be falling. And farmers are using that to plant their seeds. It's not the same way it is now. They are now having to follow patterns. How was it last year? A lot of guys, so many farmers have committed suicide because they've taken a lot of loans to buy whatever seed and then plant, and everything that's actually rotten. So we caused it through urbanization, deforestation, burning of fossil fuels, and agriculture. Because we caused the problem, we have to look for ways to manage the problem. Now, we have caused the problem. It's either we adapt to the situation, and if we can't, then we look for ways to stop the problem. So these days, what we do more or mostly is talking of adaptation techniques and mitigation practices. Now we have released enough of emissions. Let us start cutting it down. We have heated the system. We are more like in a blanket. We have heated the system so much that temperature has gone so high up. We now need to be bringing it down. At least let's get it to what? We are above 3 degrees C in warming now, centigrade in warming. Let's bring it down to about 2 degrees centigrade. That's all the claim and the argument by the world bodies, IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, and the UN bodies, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Majorly their arguments now. So climate models. Now, I said something earlier. Talking of climate change, how was it in the past? We need to know the past, not the Gen Z era. You don't even know what has happened there. What happened 30 years ago. How was it 30 years ago? How is it now? You need to know the past, the far past. You need to know the present. And then we need an informed decision of what will likely happen tomorrow. and in the far, near and the far future, to be able to plan ourselves appropriately, or otherwise what we are going to cause may not be palatable, and God forbid. So in doing that, we know today, we know last year, we only know now. I can only talk of now, this present second that I'm talking. In the night, I don't know. Tomorrow, I don't know. And like that to the future. And and we need an informed decision. What then do we do? We can only talk about the future to be able to plan appropriately in line with food security, in line with what survival and sustenance and sustainability of everything that we want to do through models that gives us an informed decision. So in climate analysis, model is a key. Climate model is a very, very powerful model. If you go to some countries, in fact, we are so fortunate in this part of the world. A lot that we do, we can always predict tomorrow. We know that it may likely rain, but we don't know. It may likely rain. We're in the rainy season. But during the dry season, you know it will not rain. In Western world, you need to know what is going to happen in the afternoon. So you plan yourself appropriately, because you can suddenly have temperature shock, and something is warm now and it's suddenly, cold. Humidity can change. Rain can start falling. So, and you see, you check your app or your weather data. It's going to shower tomorrow by 2, and by 2 it will shower. So you'll have prepared yourself. How are we able to get to that level? It is through models. Climate models, very powerful, and has been trained and can predict what is going to happen tomorrow with near accuracy, not perfect actually. Sorry, please. One of my mummies here, Professor Kuforiji. You are welcome. I greet you again, man. Thank you. So, climate models are mathematical representation of the many processes that make up our climate. They simulate behavior of climate systems. Simulate by comparing the past, and we look at the present. Once we get a very good fit of the observation, we can take it to the future and then use that model to talk about the future. So a lot of parameters have been modeled. Talking of temperature, maximum, minimum temperature, wind speed, solar irradiation, solar insolation, long range, and so many parameters to precipitation. So we are now using that to manage agriculture. Next year, it's going to be like this. Now, we talk about adaptation. So we need to talk about resilience too. Climate resilience, and through a lot of technology. So I'm going to link it to green technology very soon. These models incorporate physics and dynamics of the climate system that take into account the intersection between the different components of the climate system and can be used to simulate the past, the present, and the future. So a lot of crop models now that are being fitted into climate models that tells us what is happening. Some guys at OAU and then one, I think College of Education in Laos did the work that was very okay. Studying or shooting in terms of the crop performance. 3 crops, I think, maize, cassava, and then one other crops that is, tropical to us. And their findings was, the findings were very good. So models simulate climate on a variety of spatial, and temporal scales. We have regional climate that goes local and tell us in order this may likely happen. And then we have the global models. We have the global models. Now, please, I'm not discussing this just to, the general circulation models, in case you are going to that student that are in physics and then engineering here, and then environmental. We have the general circulation models, which is on a very larger scale. We have the general circulation model, GCMs, very high resolution of about 3 kilometers. So the results must be fitted to a local scale before you can use it and predict the future. We have the atmosphere and ocean GCM. This is much more complicated and rugged. I can only say brief because I'm not teaching here now as in real physics class. Now downscaling is a tool. We must bring it to the local level. We can't be using 300-kilometer horizontal grid spacing. We have to downscale it. And then downscaling, we have quite a lot of method. It can be, downscaling can be numerical downscaling, and it can be statistical downscaling. All these models are available, and they are really working well. After downscaling, we have it at the regional scale, from the global scale to the regional. So we have the regional climate models, having lower and finer grade that can speak to what is happening in a particular domain. Impact now. Impact of climate change. It has both direct and indirect impact on agricultural production systems. That is climate change. It can be direct and it can be indirect. The impact can be direct. Now, direct impact, this includes modification of the physical characteristics, such as the temperature. We can see that suddenly we can just have unusually or something heat waves that you don't even know. The fan is blowing, AC is working, but you know you are not comfortable. It will just come. So these are actually some of the consequences and their direct impact of climate change. You know, precipitation distribution resulting from more frequent and more intense extreme weather events, flooding, you know, extreme heat waves, you know, are quite a lot. And long time caused by changing climate and precipitation pattern. So I've told you the impact again on agricultural production. I said it can be direct, I said now. It can also be indirect. Indirect effects are those that affect agricultural production systems through changes on other species, such as pollinators, pests, disease vectors, and invasive species. We can see where so many of the problems are now coming from. A lot of, you know, ailments or diseases that were not there several decades are now coming on board, and you see it coming. And then you now see a lot of researches on board. How do we manage a lot of names? You see people giving them different names. Some diseases are here in the tropics. They are not in the Western world. They will tell you this is peculiar to this place. It's not here. A lot to discover in Ibadan. All this as a result of the indirect effect of the climate, you know, that is changing. All right. So this indirect effect can play a major role. They are much more difficult to access and project, you know, given the higher number of interacting parameters and links, many of which are still unknown. So it is easy to project the direct impact. Talking of the varying temperatures and the likes, they can easily be modeled. The indirect ones are very difficult. So we keep adapting and then keep praying and keep adjusting ourselves to whatever consequences. So it will affect agricultural production systems. That is the impact. It will have an impact on human health, livelihood. If you don't eat well, it will show on your body. Yes or no? It will show. If you eat well, it will show. If you eat junks, it will also show. If you eat healthy, it will show. You know. So food production and distribution channels, as well as changing purchasing power and market flow, all these are consequences. So people are already vulnerable and food insecure and likely to be first affected. We can, from all that I've said earlier, we can easily answer the question, are we food secure in Nigeria or insecure? We are highly food insecure. A lot through post-harvest losses. A lot of the food that we are even, you know, a lot are actually lost. Maybe transportation or preservation or the likes. So green technology. Now I said something earlier. I said we have caused the problem through emission, through human activities. We have released a lot into the atmosphere. We now need to work on it. And one of the potent technology is to deal with technology that is not releasing any form of greenhouse gases, or at least in very low quantity. Are you getting it? So these days, we talk about low carbon and carbon neutral technologies. Talking about green technologies. That's why they are green, actually. They are not having any form of emission. Talking of solar technologies for power generation and for meeting, not only for power, even for drying of crops and the likes. Wind and so many that are found to be renewable in nature. So all these are technologies. And then we talk about some low carbon sources like the natural gas. There is encouragement now that people should go what? The way. I was in one of the debates, you know, some 2 years back at the UNFCCC. And I made a point known okay, we should go the route of the low carbon, burning natural gas instead of petrol, instead of crude oil, instead of diesel or charcoal, because it has low carbon, 2% maximum of carbon content in natural gas. It is good. And then coal, maybe having about 98% of carbon. So if you are burning coal, you're only releasing carbon dioxide. So we should go. I said it's a very, very good suggestion. But it is also for a very short time. Because if you are burning natural gas with the volume that we are burning on a daily basis, though it is 2% maximum, but over the years to 2060 now becomes a problem. So we are creating a problem unknowingly today. So why can't we go fully green? So that was my argument then, and it was widely applauded, I remember. So there are quite a lot of world boys there, highly applauded. So actually the bottom line is, let's now start talking about net zero, where we will have no emission at all, and then recalibrate the heart system to a temperature of about 1.5 degrees C, the way God created it. So the use of green technology, this is actually, a technology whose use is intended to mitigate or reverse the effect of human activity on the environment. They are not emitting, no form of emission. I was in one deliberation, and somebody stood up and said, okay, he said, Prof, you have been talk about wind, adoption of wind, talk about solar. That, okay, we burn even diesel and coal to produce all this wind. I said, you are very correct. Actually, that was highly very intelligent. I said, you are very correct. But we talk about the life cycle. Are you getting me? Maybe the wind turbine or your solar PV, the life may be about 25 years. So the emission in the production, you will have saved it maybe in less than 6 months, and then you use it for the left. So we still have to go that direction. So the use of green technology can help mitigate or reduce CO2 emission and adapt with the potential negative effect of climate change. So its usage also reduces the amount of waste and pollution. Now in climate change again and green technology, production of food and other agricultural may keep pace with aggregated demand, and there are likely to be significant changes in the local cropping pattern and farming practices. Now, we can talk about mitigation using technology. Are we going to leave our farmland, our ancestral land, and run away? No. We have to now adapt to it. We now have to bring innovation into all the practices and bring more technology to assist us to live comfortably where we are. So there have been a lot of research on the impact that climate change might have on agricultural production, particularly cultivated crops. So it affects food security through its impact on all the components of the global system. So it affects all the 4 dimensions of food security: food availability, accessibility, utilization, and then food system stability. Now I made reference to some researchers' work here before I go to the way forward. I've been talking about security, climate change, green technology, then we'll look into way forward, where we are going to consider major technologies to adopt. So these researchers, one at the Obafemi Awolowo University Ife, and then 2 at, I think, College of Education in Ila-Orogun, Olajire, they assess changes in future climate, 2031 to 2055, that is future, relative to the baseline period, and their impact on the yield of 3 staple food crops: maize, rice, and cassava in Osun State. This is a very good work. I read it, I knew this is a very, very good work. Sorry, please, this thing. So the study further investigated the effect of indigenous climate change adaptation strategies. Please keep this on. This is shutting down. So in the study area, so results suggested future rise in yield of cassava. Please look at it. The result of their findings after modeling, fitting it with models, shows that there will be what? 8.2% in the yield of capacity by 2055. And within that period, there will be a decline in the production of maize by about 9.2% and rice by about 3.6% under the changing climate. Now this supports us for the future. Then, instead of losing the ground, instead of losing production, can't farmers actually go into cassava cultivation within that period? And then we look for alternatives to that. These are actually to talk about the future. So the use of organic fertilizers, it was found in the work. Irrigation of the farming system and change in planting dates were ranked highly efficient indigenous adaptation strategies for improved crop yield. So the model projected a 3.9 increase in cassava yield when irrigation farming system was adopted. I was taken to one of the farms in one country. Apparently there's a university there in that particular community. It's not a small community. A world university is there. Just like Bells, the way Bells is here, that is expected. I believe Bells is expected to solve problems around food security for us. Developing technologies that will solve that problem. I believe that's one of the key responsibilities of Bells. So that was what the university, that's actually up till now, that is what the university is actually doing. So where I'm going is this. The way they do their farming, this man that I met actually has a master's in agricultural, in crop production, and is actually the farmer. Are you getting me? Now the grandfather owned the land, maybe some hectares of land, but I can see the beginning and the end, So the grandfather, and of all the children, the father picked his own father to take over when he dies. So the father picked him to take over. So his children have 3 kids. One will take over when he dies. That's how they've been running the system. Now what is it? The guy told me, he said, I only wet, look at technology now, it's coming in. He said, I only wet my soil 2 hours in a week. He said because the soil, the water retention, capacity of the soil is so high, I only have to wet it. There is, no river around that area. But he was able to capture what is available for him in the aquifer. And he told me, he said, this is what I have, so I have to manage it well in the aquifer. So he has to go and import soil. Some soils have very high water retention capacity. That was what he imported, and then he only waited 2 hours, and that's all. And we sustained a whole 7 days. You know what this guy is doing? Is planting artichoke and strawberry from that land that is not very massive. He was supplying the need of New York, of London, and Singapore every year around. That is technology coming in. And he has no river, so let alone talking of, okay, let's divert this in form of irrigation. He's only using solar-powered irrigation systems. These are some of the things we are going to look at today, talking about green technology. So, okay, sorry please, I've left that. So this approach was found to offset the negative impact of future warming on the yields of maize and rice and increase their yield by very high percentages. So the research example, combined use of fertilizer and change in planting date was found to be significant, to significantly enhance yield of maize and rice. These are some of the things that technology and then the knowledge of climate change through models has actually taught us. So the paper concludes that integrated approach to indigenous climate change adaptation strategies as required in climate smart agriculture could significantly reduce the negative effect of future warming on food crops yield in the study area. Now, let's look at the systemic, the core challenges now. Please, we are going to start considering the way forward. We've talked about climate, what it has caused, green technology, why this is coming in. Now, what are the way forward? We are going to look at that from my topic. Now, the threat. Climate change is rapidly becoming a systemic risk to the Nigerian economy. We are now coming to Nigeria. To the Nigerian economy. I said systemic risk. Food insecurity is not just a social issue. A lot of people, we get used to it. So we don't even feel hungry again. It's not that we don't want to eat, but there's actually nothing to eat. Or what is there is not even, so you just have to continue life like that. So it's actually, we can say the country is actually highly food insecure. It's no longer a social issue. It also drives inflation. It fuels conflict and undermines human capital development. You know, this is maybe one of the problems, one of the solutions to the crisis of banditry in the northern part of the, of the country. So unsustainable farming generates about 1/3 of the global greenhouse gases through post-harvest losses. A lot of the crops that were not able, you can't preserve, are now getting rotten and then producing methane. And methane is a greenhouse gas. So a lot, and then which in turn destroy crop yields, trapping the country in poverty and instability. So there is just the need to break this circle to achieve SDG. We are considering SDG 2 here, and SDG 7, access to energy and climate action, SDG 13, end hunger, SDG 2. Now there is need for a state of emergency. Now if we look at data, global standing, we are ranking 107th out of 113 on the global food security index. That means there is danger. Economic shock. As at Q1 of 2025, food inflation sits at about 35.4%. This is a direct driver of national instability and poverty. Yes or no? I think food prices are crashing now. And then a lot of people are actually rejoicing. Prices are crashing. Maybe the renewed dope agenda is working. Is it not working? So Christ, So human cost. About 100 million Nigerians are food insecure. We are made to believe that the population is 227 million. So about 100 million, they are food insecure, with 18.6 million facing acute hunger. That's as at 2025, the first quarter. So vulnerability, a lot of flooding in some part of the country, and there are warnings now from NIMET that some people should migrate from a particular area because there may be what? Continuous rainfall, and then that leads to what? More vulnerability as far as that area is concerned. So about 1.4 million people are displaced, that's at 2022, with 400,000 hectares of farmland destroyed. These are consequences of climate change and a state of emergency needed. So we look at so many costs of inactions. The traditional methods, they are failing. They may be working, but they are not sustainable. Are you getting me? We can't continue doing subsistence farming to be meeting the need of a country that the population is actually, skyrocketing on a daily basis. We love children so much here. So population keeps increasing. But what is to support them keeps diminishing. There will be what? Crisis. If care is not taken. So we look at so many methods now. Political. So a lot of drivers may be political, some may be economic and environmental in terms of loss. Talk about post-harvest waste. About 25% of all the food produced lost after harvest, contributing to emission. Now we want to reduce the 25% or even stop it completely. We don't want any form of waste so that the food can circulate. There is also high cost of these technologies. We'll look into that later. So market opportunities, growth and efficiency. Let us look at this data. Agriculture is about 70% of the workforce in Nigeria today. Very few goes into the oil. A lot of people live in the rural areas and they are predominantly farmers, either fishermen or into real subsistence. So data we don't know, we think we are more in the urban region. We are more in the rural region. So it's about 70% of the workforce. Now look at it. The current contribution of this 70% of the workforce is between 22 to 25% of the GDP. That's a problem. We now need to recalibrate and work on it and make sure, unlike before, maybe some 30, 40 years ago, the elderly ones here among us will tell us that what? A lot of people, in fact, are Greek developed Nigeria. Yes or no? Not oil and gas. We use our Greek money to build almost all the infrastructure that we have currently in the country, not the oil and gas money. So I don't know why this thing is time. I don't know why it's not. So now the potential with 70 point, we have about 70.8 million hectares of arable land. Therefore, unlocking efficiency through technology is the fastest path to economic diversification. We have a lot to do. We used to have Operation Feed the Nation. A lot of all these things we've forgotten about it. Everybody is going, especially the Gen Z now, going into coding. It's very good. And some are even into Yahoo. That is a very that's very dangerous. You know, so we cause the problem and we have to solve the problem. So the investment objective, moving 70% of this workforce from the subsistence way of farming, the local traditional way of farming, to the high efficient, climate resilient farming. That is actually what we are deliberating upon today. And that's actually what the system should be driving. Now, the strategic pivot, climate smart agriculture, this is one of the potent technologies being adopted everywhere in the world because resources are limited. And because resources are limited, population is increasing. We now need to maximize the resources, you know, so that, for our benefit. Green technology is not a cost. It's actually a productivity enhancer. We talk about productivity. We need high yield and incomes. Mitigation. We need to lower the carbon footprint and reduce waste emission. And reduce emission through post-harvest losses. We have to make the system and the agri sector, the food security chain, to be very resilient. So the system must be able to adapt to climate shocks like extremes, drought, flooding, and the likes, and extreme heat like this. So solutions revolves around renewable energy integration to ensure food security. We now to start looking into precision farming and other technologies to reduce post-harvest losses. Number one solution, solar-powered irrigation. It's only when, before, traditionally, even up until today, there is a shift anyway. Agriculture in Nigeria is rain-fed agriculture. Used to be rain-fed. It is when the rain is coming, that's when we start planting. And when the rain has gone, then what we have, and then, we start buying and start importing. Now there is now diversification. We are now talking about irrigation. In the north, a lot of irrigation dams created for irrigation purposes. And even most power dams have been redesigned to supply water for irrigation. But where there is no river at all, and the land is very, very fertile, and you don't need water, like the man that I met in his farm, that was able. So we now need to look into the aquifer. What do we have there? How do we pump the water out sustainably using technology? And one is what? The solar powered irrigation system. That was what that man was using. So the case for decentralized water security, we can't rely on rivers all the time. Everywhere we have arable lands in Nigeria. Every part you plant and then you understand. Shegun is here. I'm thinking about having my own small farms too. So technology, solar pumps to replace the expensive volatile petrol diesel pumps. That's one way to go now. Bringing green technology into food security. Impact. Rice yield we found that it will be by over 40% due to reliable watering. Just like the way that man that I met in his farm, experienced. Just from solar-powered irrigation system, the man was able to supply the strawberry and the artichoke need of New York, the big city and big state in the US, London and Singapore, and as a private plane to himself. He has actually done well. So, the green cold chain, I talk about post-harvest losses, where we have 25%. In fact, if we look at it, I don't know who captured the 25%. It should be more than that. During the harvest season, lost is almost even more than what we eat. And we don't have very good preservation, technology or techniques. So the green cold chain, we are now having this. All up, there's a company in Lagos, Ekotutu, that is having the cold rooms power, being transported using trailers and powered by solar modules to interiors, the interlands, villages, and then to assist them in storing. You see that the farmers, after harvesting, the company, made of young university graduates. That's what we are talking about, innovation, which I expect Bells University to be thinking about. It's not about Japa. There's nothing there. It's about, you are smiling. There's nothing there. Just be here. Let's solve the problem together. When you solve a problem, you make money. You don't know that's how it is. That is how it is. Now, this is where I'm going. Now, those guys have a lot of what do they call it? Containers in most of these rural areas. And these containers were refrigerated using solar. And farmers will come. Just like you go with your phone to go and charge, and then you pay the person that is supplying the power to your. Farmers will come bring their produce and store it inside those containers, and the produce becomes refrigerated until they eventually sell it. What could have gone into post-harvest losses were refrigerated well, and they pay. They know how they do. Just like you are buying tariff, you pay, and they are really making it because the economic value actually went up. These are some of the technologies that we should be thinking about. Green cold chain to reduce waste, especially capturing the lost 25% of investment through post-harvest losses. So, perishable goods like vegetables, tubers spoil quickly, wasting farmers' effort and driving up prices. So the technology is to provide a solar-powered cold storage trailer, as been done by Ekotutu. It's a company in Lagos, and deployed in rural communities. This extends the share life of the farm produce. It reduces methane or reduces emission in form of methane that causes also hard to climate change. And then you discover that every unit of loss is a unit of revenue and stability gain. So we look into digital resilience, the data hedge. A lot now. I said earlier that you are in the Western world, you want to go out tomorrow, or you want to go out in the evening, you must check your app to see maybe it is friendly, or you need to be well kitted because anything can change at any time. Are you getting? Temperature can suddenly drop, so you have to be well prepared. Otherwise, you may pay for it. So digital resilience. A lot of farmers now are looking into the future. So many apps have been created, and I want to sincerely give it to Bells Tech. Some students were brought for the coded competition. I don't know. Dean, I think you came. Okay, maybe not you. Somebody, two colleagues came with them from Bells to the competition. Though they did not, narrowly they missed but the product they brought was highly innovative. Talking about the app they developed. No, I was actually amazed myself. I went to meet the two, I shook hands with them. Though, of course, the better one. But then, they have actually done well. That anybody can look back and say, oh, so something like this is coming out of Bells. Congratulations again. I mean, you have actually done well. So, talking about digital resilience, reach, mobile penetration now. Everywhere we all have phones. You go to the rural area, they all have phones. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be iPhone, what is it now, 17. Anything, we all have smartphones, and all Nigerians are what? Cameramen, and we take pictures. You don't even have to train anybody. So penetration has gone far. Digital penetration. No, it has not circulated, but at least we have more than 50% of penetration in Nigeria. So apps need to be provided. Apps to study real-time weather forecast, to study pest alerts and optimize planting dates. That goes a long way in assisting towards providing, cutting-edge assistance towards management of food insecurity. So this transforms traditional farming to data-driven decision-making and improving input efficiency and adaptation speed. I've said this. Let me move to the next one. There are some roadblocks though. The implementation gap. We discovered that in 2021, we successfully have, as a country, our Climate Change Act. In 2023, we have the Electricity Act. I was part of that document. So the Climate Change Act is a very wonderful document. But you discover that the act is there. But in reality, implementation and funding budget, you understand, remains a problem. And it's actually that is needed for key climate and agricultural policies. They are majorly untraceable or diverted, all the funds. A lot of people don't even know that funds are somewhere that could have been, that could be tapped into to provide whatever form of solution in mitigating food insecurity. So impact, you discover we are now having a lot of promising pilots. We don't expect too much from the government again. Look, not only in Nigeria, any country. Most countries are private sector driven. All the big countries are private, so we don't expect so much. All that the government will do is to provide an enabling environment for your solution to thrive. So let's stop focusing on government and start thinking of what we need to do to solve the problem. So promising pilots, a lot of promising, like solar pumps struggle to scale into national programs due to financial and bureaucratic bottleneck. The fund is there, but eventually you discover that the fund will be diverted. And also we are approaching politics now, and you see a lot of diversion. So the governance too, weak governance and institutional overlaps. You discover we're having fragmented authority, and this limits impact. A lot of agencies and departments across the country, you see them replicating projects. No synergy. This one is doing this project on solar borehole or whatever. The other department and ministry also doing the same thing with different objectives, at times with the same, which is also a problem. So the NCCC, National Council on Climate Change, and the Presidential Food System Unit, they struggle to demonstrate a visible impact because of that. They are really struggling. They tell us we'll do this. A lot of promises. By 2015, the goal will be to get this. And by 2025, the goal is actually far from what we can even think of. So donor dependence. So adaptation actions are often donor driven. And this fade when funding ends. So most of the adaptation funds are not sustainable because there's nobody to now and take it from where it is. So by the time funding stops, you discover that most of the project dies naturally. So this prevents, preventing sustainability and then institutionalizing, waste. So there is a clear non-overlap mandate and centralized accountability for food climate targets in the country. So the financial barrier is there, risk and cost. We are talking about, climate smart agriculture. It's not coming cheap. Since it's not cheap, you have very high initial investment cost, high capital upfront. So green technologies like solar and sensors require initial capital outlay. I remember what I asked from those students that came to represent Bells, during that codex. How were you guys able to? Say we reach out to people. Some said we saved our money to get, because they use sensors and a whole lot of things, and was actually very capital intensive. But they can do that. They can talk to their parents and they'll give them the money, go and do this and graduate. But farmers, who do they turn to? So you discover they are limited. So initial capital for exceeding smallholders' capacity. At the same time, we have problem with financial barrier again, with insecure land tenure. Most of the land for agriculture in this part, or most of the farmers, are not actually the rightful owners of the land that they are using to cultivate. Most of the lands are on lease. Because they are on lease, they are actually insecure. And they lack incentives because the land to invest in long-term soil conservation techniques and agroforestry. That could have actually also solved problem towards the food insecurity that we are having in the country. If the land belongs to you, you'll be able to spend anything. But you have leased the land for about 10 years. So you may be forced to limit your solution to a low-risk, low-yield subsistence method. So you still discover that we keep moving around in a circle because of some problems that are there. Some part of the country, you can't buy land. Some places they'll tell you, this is my ancestral, we can't sell it. So in a situation like that, the only thing you do is to lease. If you lease it for how long? And if you lease it for 10 years, and then you want to, renew your contract, and the person says no. So this also ties us around the subsistence way of, farming. The education and capacity gap. Extension services. We used to have agric extension as a course in universities in those days. I don't know if we still have it today. And a lot of extension product workers are actually bankers now. So many have changed, they have ported from what they used to do to banking. So extension services. The services needed to teach climate smart agriculture, the practices, are underfunded and limited in remote areas. So you discover that in remote areas, most are still forced to be doing it the way they have inherited farming from their great-great-grandfather, which is not sustainable. So you see that what a loss of manpower, a loss of product that may not meet the market during harvest. These are where problems arise, and these are the things that are fueling food insecurity in the country. So maintenance, lack of rural vocational training means any new equipment or new technology deployed often fail due to poor maintenance. A lot of projects have gone moribund. You have them, everything is working today, is fine. By the time one census gets, spoil or whatever, or manhandled, that will be the end of the project. And you have spent millions, and you see them going back to square one. So the fix, technology deployment must be coupled with human capital investment and localized repair ecosystems. All right, so the challenge is not, here I said the challenge is actually no more of technology, but of execution. I've said this earlier. So the investment case and action plan. I've considered some strategic pillars, about 3. So strategic pillar 1, based on all the problems that we have actually itemized, we need to strengthen mandate and accountability on behalf of the government. So the objective is to close the implementation gap earlier discussed, governance, empower NCCC, which is a body saddled to ensure to manage climate change across agric and the likes. So, to enforce climate budgeting across all relevant ministries, agriculture, water, and power, and to sensitize people that, okay, the budgets are there, and these are the approaches to go to tap into what is in the budget. So, budget transparency, mandate public disclosure, and real-time tracking of all climate and agricultural adaptation funds. Otherwise, it may be diverted or used for some other things. So we need to now set smart targets. We need to move from policy launch, announcement to measurable outcomes. Are you getting me? By 20, we must be, very intentional about our approach. By 2030, we must be climate smart. And we want to reduce the post-harvest losses to about 10%. By 2035, we must be intentional. We need to reduce it to about 5%, and then we cut it off. And this will be driven by finance. I've talked about money. Most don't really have the cash needed. Objective. Now we need to de-risk financing the green transition. We need to de-risk investment and mobilize capital. This is finance, more like finance focus. So the strategic pillar focuses on operationalizing climate finance mechanisms to unlock capital for green agricultural transformation. Now, climate fund and blended finance, still under finance, sources of funds to meet all the technologies or the solutions that we want to adopt. Operationalize climate fund, fully activate the Climate Change Fund Act. Inside the Climate Change Act of 2021, we have it talks about the Climate Change Fund Act that actually primarily centers on food security and agriculture. We need to activate that act, that fund, to provide anchor funding for green projects, geared towards green projects, not for some other things. In banks, you want to take loan from bank. If it is for crude oil or to set up a filling station, they'll give it to you readily. But if you are talking of green finance, to get, because banks, they are actually not after any other thing other than their profit. And they will tell you the moratorium is 1 year. I need my money back even if I don't have the profit over it. And these projects are before you even start making money, maybe you talk about 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So there must be some other funding. If commercial banks cannot meet up to that, then there should be some other sources of funding. So we are looking at climate fund and some other blended finance. So in blended finance, we need to now use public fund to de-risk private sector investment in solar irrigation and cold chain through guarantees and low interest loan. These are sources of funds to talk about. Then we need to tap into global capital to streamline project approval processes, to aggressively tap into international funding like the Green Climate Fund and the Adaptation Fund. All these funding are there. You know, over the years since 2015, after the Paris Agreement, all the world bodies came together that we need to have a pause from 2015 to 2020, where we have about 100 billion US dollars that people can tap into, especially the developing economies and then the least developed economies. So you discover that what we are still at the deficit because the countries that have the technology and the knowledge to tap into such funds are still more like maybe China, India, and then some countries. Of all the Green Climate Fund, I think we have about 5 or 6 so far in Nigeria. This is not the way to go. So finance the green transition. Okay, sorry, please. So strategic pillar 3, scale proven technology, the solar. We need a national rollout of high impact solutions, which is technology focused. This is not finance focused. So we talk about solar import waivers. A lot of time you want to bring any power, actually in the law, by the federal government. You are bringing any power equipment to the country, the tariff or the duty is 0%. So, but by the time in the case of any of this green technology, battery is always a component because of the variability associated with the renewable resources. You have to be storing the energy and then use it when it is not there. Maybe in the night, of course, your solar system must be working in the night. But the sun is not available in the, it has to be stored. By the time they spot battery at the port, then duty goes to as high as 21%. You understand? Because it's not their problem. They are also IGR for the federal government. So that has to actually be demystified. So we need to offer targeted waivers, subsidies on solar pumps and components to drive down the cost of entry for smallholders, at least farmers, provided this is going for rural farming, then it should actually have 100% waiver, duty waiver. Then pay as you go scheme. In some other solar practices that we have, through solar home systems that we have at home, there are so many financing methods. Pay as you go. In fact, I've seen some financing methods that some sellers or distributors are using to sell phone. Buy today, pay small. I've read a lot, and then when you default, they will start maligning your name, across your contacts. Send your names across. This one is a debtor. Thank you. I will even be done very soon. It's a debtor. Please hold him. So there are so many pay as you go, approaches to financing models for solar equipment, overcoming the capital, so that we can overcome the capital barrier. Another is the local manufacturing. So I'm going to charge Bells to take lead in this. Bells University. A lot of this technology are not rocket science again. We are now exporting solar modules to Ghana, being produced in Nigeria. And the solar panel is from silicon. There's no rocket science. Now, a lot of this technology, Bells should take the charge at 20 years of existence to start domesticating all this for local production. I believe that is good enough, right? So incentivize local assembly and manufacturing of green technologies to create jobs and reduce current risk. Instead of to Japa, I'm talking to students now. Let us solve the problems together. So the scale pillar 3, strategic pillar 3, scale proven technology continues. Cold chain ops. It has been working. A Kotutu in Lagos has actually done that successfully. Let us study the model and let us bring some other entrepreneur to also deploy this technology. Let's invest in decentralized solar power cold storage hubs at key rural aggregation points. With that, we will collectively bring down. A lot of time I smile when a lot of my students come to me. What's the next plan after graduation? I'm going to America. If you go to, I went to one village. There used to be a very small Bamu because one of my friends, you know him, add a mini grid there. You know, so I went to the site. What used to be a very small community then, if you see what those farmers have in terms of money, several, in fact, hundreds of millions, all of them, you know, they don't look it, but you know they have money. So where I'm going, there is money in the farming. So if we can use our Greek money to build the country, and somebody is deceiving us now that is oil, I think we need to sit down and have a rethink. So we need to have so many of the cold chain ops to cut down post-harvest losses. Then logistic integration. We need to integrate cold chain solutions with improved rural road infrastructure to connect farmers directly to urban markets, thereby reducing spoilage and middlemen. Then strategic pillar 4. Strategic pillar 4. We need to retrain extension services, building the ecosystem back. We need to now retrain extension services. This will assist in what? Deploying the climate smart agriculture. They are the one to teach the farmers. They are the one to bring technologists or artisans or repairers to come and repair any damaged equipment. You know, rural tech training. A lot of time, these technologies, I said, they are not rocket science. We can get a lot of them trained. And that will also create some other form of extra fund for the rural dwellers. So fund vocational training centers to build local expertise for maintaining and repairing solar, digital, and mechanical equipment. Then digital PPP, incentivize public-private partnership to roll out rural broadband. And mobile-based extension, you get to some village, you lose signal. You may be saying, okay, what is it that works at the no, you may have to climb the mountain to have some little access to signal. So we need to now increase the broadband, thereby so that a lot of farmers, not minding the educational background, will discover that they are smart because they will have access to the modern tool that you have in the urban centers. So I want to stop here. And I want to thank the management again, and I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you all for listening to me, and congratulations again. Thank you.
Let's sustain the applause. This has been a magnificent write-up, well put together and well delivered. Let's sustain the applause. Thank you. Can we please be seated? Without any doubt, the write-up and the presentation deserves our standing ovation. And I want to believe through the chairman technology committee that this document will be available for us. Then we will look at that so that it can be shared. It's a strong academic document which is contemporary and current. So we thank you, sir, for this. While you were about to start your presentation, sir, one of the principal officers came in, and who happened to be the bursar of the university. And yes, I have to appreciate him. Even if he comes towards the end of the program, you know money is important. So we appreciate you, sir, Mr. Shina Adepoju, for coming. Let's put our hands together for him. And also one of our very senior organs and Professor Umela. I think I spotted him somewhere. Thanks for coming. And every other one that came thereafter, we appreciate you. Sir, when you were making your presentation, you were greeting everybody, you did not greet me. But you did not know. What you did not know is the fact that I have known you directly or indirectly many years ago through Dr. Nwaki. And we've seen at one occasion, that was the era of fuel crisis. We met at Trilly Station. So, now you recollect. So, you are welcome. We appreciate you for coming. And one other thing I want to say is that we appreciate that you take in as many faculties that are available here for collaboration, because you have seen it out there, so we appreciate. I know we have them in engineering here. A lot of people are into renewable energy, so we appreciate that collaboration. And that being said, I'm an agriculturist and the head of Department of Agriculture, so I could see that what you dealt with more has to do with food security. And one thing that is germane is how we can get solar irrigation system to our farmers, because the weather now is very unpredictable. That is key to our food security. And I could see that you have looked at that. And also, let's look at other energy sources. And I think with this, our country will be able to move forward. Talking about agro waste, we've had up to 50%. So going forward, we should look at how we reduce this. And being that said, I want to announce to everybody that after this session out there, there will be exhibition, and courtesy the College of Food, Agricultural Science and Technology, we have some agri products on display for you at affordable prices. So we are walking the talk. So please get there to get something. Thank you. So the next thing on the agenda is the presentation of gifts to the keynote speaker. And that will be done by no other one than the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Arisa. So I will call on Professor Arisa and also ask Professor Onwuakin to step forward, even as the gift from the university will be presented. Let's put our hands together for them as they come.
Thank you. An award of excellence presented to Professor Olayinka S. Onwuakin on this day as the guest lecturer for this technology fair with the theme Green Technology and Climate Change in... Please, can I see it? It's quite tiny. Okay. In the 21st century. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So, green technology and climate change in the 21st century food security, the way forward. I'm sure we all agree that he talked about the green technology and he gave us the way forward, and he linked it very, very well to food security and has given us how we can actually use green technology to ensure that we have food security in our country. Thank you. Thank you. Having come to our university, we have a culture of not leaving you to go empty-handed. These are souvenirs from the university.
Thank you. Thank you. Somebody whispered to me, I don't know if this is allowed, that they have questions. Sorry. I'm rightly informed that some people have questions. Can we make it snappy? Take all the questions together so that you can answer. Do we have, if you have a question, please step forward because we want to save the time, please go straight to the point. Please step forward if you have a question for the guest speaker.
Thank you so much for that excellent presentation. So my question is about the country. You know, it's on record that Nigeria is the first country in Africa to release the green or the sovereign bond for green and sustainable projects in 2017, about the tune of $30 million or thereabouts. So, but if we look at the progress now, we see that countries like South Africa and other countries, they have overtaken Nigeria, you know, in the pursuit of carbon neutral economy. So my question is, what is the progress so far, you know, when it comes to green and sustainable economy in Nigeria? Number one, do we have a framework? Do we have a taxonomy? Do we have a kind of guideline that qualifies projects for green and sustainable initiatives? Then the second is, what is the public-private partnership? What is the role of our financial institution in all these things? Then what is the progress generally? If we are the first country in 2017, where are we now? Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. If you look at countries, look at those developed, and what's the difference between they are being intentional, and a lot of time they don't have choice. We have choices here. Azeta is there. I can say, Azeta, I'm coming tonight. I will stay in your house for 1 year. He will say, okay, come. He will feed me for a year. But you can't try that with anybody in the UK, because the moment you enter his house today, tomorrow, bill has gone up, and the person will start to tell you. So they don't have so many choice. So they are limited to the few that they have, and they are intentional about their approach. We are not intentional about our approach. Now, a lot of the funding that you see driving, they are actually more like intervention fund from the Western world. And the moment the fund stops, or the project cycle complete, that's the end. That's why you don't see continuity in what we are doing in this part of the world. Now, talking about renewable energy or low carbon technology adoption, it has actually gone higher in the country. Before, a lot of people don't even know anything like solar. Today, everybody, almost every home, you have solar, whatever, whichever form. Even if they don't understand the technology, they all have it there and they are using it. Are you getting me? Why? Because in that particular area, we don't have so many choices. Either you have it or you don't have power at all. So when you are limited to one, you want to what? Tap into it. That is one. Then, so the issue of banking, financial institution. I said something. I did a project for the African Development Bank, looking into RE financing across the sub-Saharan Africa, and the same thing for the World Bank on the project. Now, where I'm going is this: all the commercial banks, they are all there to make their profit. You know, they told me point blank that if I should approach them for a loan, they are going to give me an interest rate of about 20%. Now, on the same project, if somebody like Dangote should approach them, Dangote will negotiate and tell them, I'm going to pay you 1%, and they will prefer to give Dangote, because they know that even if that one fails, he has so many other channels to pay back the money. That may be the only project that I'm having. So the risk becomes so high. So they are not interested at all in that. They are only after their money. The only support that you see from banks, they are the supports that are there from international collaborators or the bilateral organizations or the developmental banks like the African Development Bank, the World Bank. Like in energy, there is the AFDB fund of about 200 million US dollars. To support rural electrification, and also $500 million US dollars for rural electrification from the World Bank. This will go through the central bank, and the central bank will now channel it through commercial bank, which is a special desk to access. Once those intervention funds are not there, forget about bank. If you go to them, they are dealing with you on a business level. We give you this, you pay this, the moratorium we can do for you maybe 1.5 years, and you start paying back, or we start sending EFCC after you. That's how they've been doing it. I believe I'm able to say a lot, or a bit about thank you very much.
Thank you. Another round of applause for him. So, Prof, you can be rest assured that people will still engage you. We will make that available. Having said that, I will call on Dr. Alamu to give the vote of thanks. Please, let's put our hands together for him. He's the chair of this technology fair. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, our MC. One unique thing about today's presentation is the simplicity behind the presentation, and that's why it has become very impactful. To Professor Olayinka Ohuaki, we appreciate you. You have done excellently well, and we are particularly impressed by the way forward that is suggested, or that was suggested, which makes it also very intentional and directional. From our community-based University of Technology, we are greatly impressed and we are grateful for honoring us and making this science technology fair very colorful. Thank you so much. We also want to appreciate the university management who has created the conducive environment for making our 28th anniversary and the convocation ceremony for this year very beautiful. The best is yet to come. Thereafter, we'll have our technology fair where there will be intercollegiate competition, and thereafter we have other events climaxing today's and this year's technology fair as part of our convocation ceremony. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and every other person present in the hall, the deans of the colleges and our senior colleague in the house, we say a very big thank you for coming to honor us today. In the light of the above, I say God bless you all.
Please, we quickly want to do something before we close, and we have the technology fair as a gift for the Vice Chancellor, and I think the chairman should present that to the DVC who is representing the VC at this floor. Let's put our hands together.
Over the years, the management of the university, led by our able Vice Chancellor, has done remarkable things that makes us to annually appreciate him with his team. And on behalf of the subcommittee technology fair, we are pleased to give this award or token to the university management represented by the Vice Chancellor on behalf of the technology fair. Thank you very much for being there with us.
Thank you. Another round of applause for our Vice Chancellor. Please, ma. DVC, ma. Before you sit down, I think I will need to call you back for the closure of the program. Thank you, ma.
No. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, the management and staff of the university, we declare this symposium closed. For now, we will now proceed to the exhibition venue. Thank you.
Thank you, ma. So I have the honor to call on Dr. Atinike Orekon to give us the opening, closing prayer, please. Please, you are invited, ma. Thank you. Let's put our hands together for her as she comes. We are going to take the closing prayer standing, and we'll take thereafter the university anthem and national anthem as we close.
All right. Thank you, sir. God Almighty, we want to appreciate you for this beautiful outing. We thank you for how far you have helped us. We thank you for the guest speaker, for the management of this university. And we thank you for each and every one of us. As we step out from here to go to the exhibition site, we pray that everything will go smoothly and we'll come back and say thank you, God. Subhana rabbika rabbil sati amma yasifun wa salamu alal mursalin wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amen. Thank you.
the national and the university anthem, please. Thank you. Please, let's remain standing and clear the aisle as the members of the high table will proceed to the exhibition floor and cut the tape to open the floor for the exhibition. Please, let's remain standing and clear the aisle. Thank you. Please let the members of the high table, our guest speakers and members of management, let them have the front. They will cut the tape, then they will declare the exhibition open. And make sure you